Welcome to episode 1. It is the first episode of Drew's Baseball Crew here on the podcast, and I have been really looking forward to this. So how this will work is every Wednesday morning, myself, Drew Skyberg, will be alongside a guest, either someone from the fantasy baseball community, a beat writer, someone in the world of baseball will be joining me, and we'll be talking about fantasy baseball, daily fantasy sports, player props, all that good stuff here on the podcast. As look, Monday, those are our general episodes with Drew's Sports Crew, and then now Wednesday you have Drew's Baseball Crew, the MLB themed episode, and then coming soon, Drew's Basketball Crew, where we'll be talking all things NBA. And then Fridays, you have Journey to a Million, the football themed show. This is going to be a lot of fun, as I said, and yeah, I'm on solo duty today, Drew Skyberg, as no guests, because I am going to be explaining just how we're going through this episode. We'll go through Wednesday's slate just briefly here, just to kind of show how we'll be working through it. And yeah, with that, let's get started right away. So how it will work is we'll start always by going through daily fantasy, going through lineups and such, some fantasy baseball news and all that great stuff there. And then we go into player props the end of the episode, but today we'll keep it simple. We'll just roll right away with the Wednesday slate. So looking at it, I mean, first games, it's an earlier slate for some games, and then there's also some late night, you still have your classic 6:05 slate, but there is an all day slate starting, at 12:10, and you can get all 30 teams in on there. But the real question, we got to look at the top pitchers, right? We have to look at, potential stacks for that. And so let's roll with it. I guess if you're wondering what a stack is, that's going to be where we'll target, usually three players from a specific team who are against a pitcher with a favorable like a good matchup for all those hitters, right? And then when you stack them, you're going to accumulate more points. As let's say, we're stacking the Brewers, right? Christian Yelich. You're going to stack him. You're going to put him with Rowdy Tellez and then Tyrone Taylor. So what happens is Yelich gets on base, Tellez gets on base, and then Taylor hits a 3-run home run. You're going to get points for all those guys. You're going to get runs scored for Yelich and Tellez when Taylor hits a home run, and then he's going to get a run score too. So it's just going to keep stacking, accumulating points. So you're stacking points, basically, is how that strategy works. And we're going to be talking about, ways to go about this and looking at the top matchups, top pitchers of the day. My favorite has to be right now Carlos Rodon of the San Francisco Giants. And he's matching up against probably my second favorite here, Aaron Nola. So both these guys, I think, are going to be great options. If you're doing a day slate, if you get one pitcher, I think I would lean Carlos Rodon. But both of those are great options. If you're looking for some budget guys, some sleeper ones, Garrett Whitlock of the Boston Red Sox, he's a great option there against the Cincinnati Reds, a nice matchup there. Kyle Wright also, he's not really a more budget option right now, with the year he's had. Jeffrey Springs from Tampa Bay, look at him as well. He's been doing well as of late for the Tampa Bay Rays. And then other ones, I'll throw in, Robbie Ray, of course. I don't know what I think about Nestor Cortez. He might be a guy I'm fading today, so I'm staying away from Nestor Cortez. But looking at it, I mean, let's go through guys to stack against, right? I think this is, the main option, right? You got to look at guys to target, guys who you're thinking are going to have a big game today. I'm looking right away. I am looking at some of the Seattle Mariners players, and I know they had a big night last night, but, you can't go wrong with Jesse Winker. I think him, right now he's listed at 2,600 right now on FanDuel. I think that is going to be a great option. And with him facing a right-handed pitcher as well, Kyle Bradish, I think that's going to be something to look at. I know Bradish has been solid. His slider is highly graded, but look, Jesse Winker is a great fastball hitter, and I think he's going to match up well today in Baltimore too. So keep in mind he's not dealing with left field, unless he's not pulling the ball, as Winker is a left-handed batter. Mike Ford as well for the Seattle Mariners. Look at him. Jose Siri. So Oakland is throwing out Cole Irvin. He's pitching. He's a lefty, and let's just say he's not the greatest lefty. So, I'm looking at hitters like that. So Jose Siri is a good option in my opinion. I'll throw in Altuve, Bregman, right? You could do a classic stack there. Throw those guys in. Jeremy Pena's been on fire. Look, these guys putting a stack in there. And then, of course, I saved the core slate for last. Looking at that. Doubleheader today. So, depends what game you're in. But either way, they're both favorable matchups, in my opinion, for mostly I'd go with the Marlins players on this day. So, I'd be looking at guys like Aguilar, Miguel Rojas, of course, Jazz Chisholm Jr. I don't know, what about Jesus Sanchez? Maybe. I know he hit that monstrous home run, but I don't know if he's a guy still I'd be targeting, even though, because he's got to put the ball in play, and that's something we need. Joey Wendell's dealing right now with some sort of injury, so yeah, he won't be a guy, from Miami to look at, but Jorge Soler, of course, right, when he's at Coors, Garrett Cooper. I mean, there's a lot of options there, but my favorite's got to be Rojas, Aguilar, and I'll throw Jazz Chisholm in there as well, for sure. But other guys to look at, this might not be the best matchup here for the Blue Jays, with Kopech pitching. He went 7-8 innings his last start, so he's no longer that 4 or 5 inning guy that he once was. So I'd be not looking at that. Hunter Green, his fastball, he might be throwing 102, 101, but it's been a very hittable 102, 101. So I'd be looking at right-handed hitters for him, which might sound ridiculous, but if he's not locating the fastball, I don't see any sort of disadvantage for taking some of the right-handed hitters. And Bogarts, of course, Story's been on fire. I know Devers is a lefty, but look, it's Rafael Devers. He's been one of the top hitters in baseball so far this year. So looking at those guys, some sleepers. Bobby Dalbec is always a great sleeper there for the Red Sox. So yeah, I mean, I gave you some value plays. My personal stacks where I'm rolling today, because I am doing the night slate, so I myself will be rolling with that Boston stack I did mention a little. I'll be JD Martinez, I'll be throwing in there, Xander Bogaerts. And then for the Brewers, I want to talk about, look, they're against Kyle Hendricks, who has fared for his career pretty well against him. Hendricks has done very well against the Brewers. But some of these guys who he hasn't faced a lot, I personally like Rowdy Tellez, to throw his name out. He's done well against Hendricks for his career, so just to point that out, I am looking all over him in this. Plus Keston Hiura. Keston Hiura's been hot. Keston Hiura hits right-handers well. The ball's been flying out of Wrigley. Look, I think that's a perfect matchup. Colt Wong's day-to-day, otherwise I would definitely have taken him. But yeah, Hiura and Tellez. Tellez is actually, we use expected stats here, so looking at the StatCast stats, Rowdy Tellez's expected batting average against him 300 with an expected slugging of 734. So I would be looking at Tellez. We'll get to them in the player props. I'm looking at him for fantasy score especially. And then if he has any sort of, runs plus RBI, 0.5, that's something to look at as well. But, Kyle Hendricks has not been the Kyle Hendricks we know this year, and he hasn't looked great at all. So I would, I'd be stacking against him. Talk about Jose Quintana's pitching, and he's been okay, but look, Dodgers are due for some runs. Look, they lost back-to-back games against the Pirates, and they also lost the series at PNC. I think they're going to do well today against Quintana. If you can afford to pay up for guys like Mookie Betts and Trey Turner, I think you do it today. I think you just go out and do it. Betts is batting .316 for his career against Quintana. And then also, I'd even go with, if Kevin Pillar gets the start, this might be ultimate sleeper. He has not recorded a hit yet with the Dodgers, but I think this might be a good matchup for him. Especially he's at bottom of the order, right? This Dodgers offense puts up runs. I think he will be heavily involved in that game. If that is the way you go, I personally, that's one of my favorite plays. Kevin Pillar is a sleeper there, and Looking at some other value plays, my one of my other favorites is Jake Berger. Jake Berger he's been doing well as of late. He had a good series against the Cubs, but for Jake Berger, he's matching with Hyun-Jin Ryu, so it's a favorable matchup as he is a right-handed hitter. But I'd be looking at Jake Berger. He's not faced Hyun-Jin Ryu, so I don't have any data there, but he has been overall a solid player for the Chicago White Sox this year, and if he gets the start, that might be important here. I mean, of course, that's the important part, but if he gets the start and if he's batting in the middle of the order, that's going to be something you're going to want out of him. And, that goes with like Jose Abreu has good numbers off of Ryu. I know it's only a small sample size with 5 at-bats, but he's 2 for 5 with some good, hard, solid contact. But other guys to look at, AJ Pollock, 333 average career off of Ryu. And then also Chris Taylor for the Dodgers is batting 350 off Quintana. I just personally, I think Dodgers are due to have a big day against Quintana, and the numbers, they have hit Quintana fairly well for his career with the expected batting stats like 267, which throw in there, that's decent. Mitch White also for who the Dodgers are pitching today. You can look at, I'm liking Brian Hayes. I know he's only had 3 at-bats. He's not recorded a hit, 2 strikeouts, but Brian Hayes, he hits that home run last week, and he's looking good. He's putting together better at-bats, and I think that's something to look at. Josh Van Meter, throw out another sleeper. He look at him. He's been in the middle of the order right now for the Pirates. So I guess I'm going to kind of wrap up there with the lineups, but you see where I'm going. There's potential stacks I like there. I threw some value plays in there overall. But yeah, my favorite pitchers of the day are Rodon, Nola, Wright, Whitlock is where I would go. Those are my top 4. Also throw in Darvish and Verlander. Those guys are consistent. Nestor Cortez I fade today. I'm not looking, I'm a fan, but not today. I don't think. I'm fading Hunter Green and Madison Bumgarner with those 3. So now to go to the other part, we're going to look at player prop lines. So we're going to talk about potential ones. I like the hitter fantasy score lines a lot always as well, but also the pitcher ones are looking good. Pitcher fantasy score are especially ones, if you can get on, I think you get on them. So to go to it, let's go to like the hitter fantasy score, right? I'd be looking at right away some of those guys I mentioned. If you can get Jake Berger, total baseline at 0.5, I'd be looking at that. Looking at any kind of line with Berger involved, because he might be, he's been undervalued as of late, and I think you might get that today. And then be cautious with the Coors. With the Coors lines, they're always a little inflated, but still, if you can get any sort of discount for any of those guys, I'd go out and do it for the Marlins, especially those hitters today. I am a fan of, but let's go through some of those other player props that I'm interested in. AJ Pollock hitter fantasy score. If you can lock one of those up, I would do so. Jace Peterson's in the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers, and they've been giving him total baselines. Go ahead, take that, please. I'm confident he'll get some good at bats. I didn't mention Yordan Alvarez, but he is batting 5 for 9 for his career against Cole Irvin with a home run. I would be all over that. Nick Castellanos is 5 for 10 for his career off Carlos Rodon. Again, I am still hesitant off that, because the thing with hitter history, looking at hitter-pitcher history, is some of these guys have revamped their stuff over the offseason, and Rodon is one of those guys who I feel has made some adjustments where I wouldn't be confident in taking that. But, the track record's there. Josh Bell is probably one of my other plays that I didn't mention in my lineup. I would have taken if I wasn't taking Castanheira right now. Josh Bell against Carlos Carrasco, 5 for 12 against him. Only 3 strikeouts, and he's done very well in his career off him. So I would be looking at that. And then always, there are guys who you look to match up in lineups or even player props when they have favorable matchups. I always look at Darren Ruff if he's facing a poor lefty, which Today he's facing Aaron Nola, so he's for sure a fade. But looking at Darren Ruff, when he faces left-handed pitchers, he's done very well, especially when they're lower quality left-handed pitchers. He has thrived. And another guy is Corey Dickerson of the Cardinals. When he's against right-handed pitching, they'll bat him fifth or so in the lineup. You'll kind of swap with Pujols there to play matchups, and Dickerson's done very well in that role. And today, I think, is going to be no different. He faces the Padres and Yu Darvish. I know that might not sound like an appealing matchup, but 5 for 16 for his career. So put that in, and he's hit a home run as well, so you're getting solid contact. Other ones to look at, Ozzy Albies. He was struggling, but I think he is certainly, he's been picking it up as of late. And look, his numbers against Madison Bumgarner, 3 for 7, lifetime with only 1 strikeout. So, but looking at that, Bailey Ober, the Tigers have hit very well in his young career so far. I want to get these numbers up for you guys, some of the StatCast numbers. So listen to this. Will Castro is batting 363, or he's batting, my bad. It's 363 expected batting average. Harold Castro, 342 expected batting average. Derek Hill, 535 expected batting average against Bailey Ober. And look, these guys have done very well so far against him. Just to throw in the StatCast numbers to back these guys up. Look, I would be looking at, I know the Tigers aren't the most appealing offense, but look, they've done well against him. The StatCast numbers prove it. I would be looking at hitter fantasy scores for those guys. If you can find some sort of one, I would not be looking, Javier Baez, like the bigger names. That's where it gets tough because not everyone's going to offer the same lines. So just keep that in mind, But overall, I'd be looking at some of these other guys, maybe even in lineups, right? If you can't get these guys in props, certainly if you need, if you want to pay up for a Trout, Ohtani, a Judge, right? Those guys, or like I mentioned, Betts and Trey Turner earlier, go with Derek Hill. I think he'll do well today. Go with Harold Castro. Go with Will Castro. Go with these guys. If they get the starts, take them in the lineups. Because I always talk about a good rule is like, don't worry about your salary, right? If you have $800 left in salary, don't worry about it. Look, last week I had I was gonna take Jace Peterson, but I had $900 left on the salary, and I was like, all right, let's just take Ryan McMahon. Jace Peterson, 3-run home run. Ryan McMahon, I went like 2 for 4 with like 9 points only. So I ended up costing myself, losing out big time in that, and just, plays an important role in that message where just don't worry about your salary. I know in basketball it's different, right? We'll talk about it on Drew's basketball crew, where almost every salary matters, every dollar matters, it feels, in that in those lineups. But baseball, don't worry about it. But you can find some good sleepers, I feel, and there are a lot of ones I enjoy today. So I guess to wrap up here, go over some more value plays, and then boom, we'll be on our way. So a few more here. Andrew Vaughan hits a home run in Tuesday's action, and look, he's certainly gonna have a good matchup there. I mentioned Jake Berger already. I'm a fan of him. Who else we got? Eduardo Escobar, J.D. Davis, like the Mets players, right? I'd be looking at them as well. And then Lars Nootbaar, I guess if you're looking really value, if you're looking really deep here, you can get him for $2,000 salary only, $2,000. Good price there. Again, Yu Darvish. But personally, I'd stay with Corey Dickerson if you're going any Cardinals in that. Again, Garrett Cooper in the Coors slate. Salvador Perez, I didn't mention him yet. Look out for his name, as he is a good matchup against Pilkington right now from the Indians. So keep that in mind. Emmanuel Rivera as well. I've not mentioned his name. I've been taking him as a sleeper, and it's paid off in certain games. And so before we wrap up, got to make some announcements. Right, live show of Journey to a Million this Friday at the 1212 Sports Pub and Grill in Oshkosh. Be there. It's going to be a great episode. Journey to a Million. Myself, Drew Skyberg, Zach Roush, and Jared Valesky will all be there. We have exciting news to announce at that. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. So that is one of the other announcements. And then also, right, stick around. Be here next week for Drew's Baseball Crew. We'll have a guest on. It'll be a lot more fun. We'll go into the whole thing. Just want to kind of go through, it's more of a pilot episode, just going through like what we're all talking about. Submit questions. We'll talk fantasy baseball. It'll be a lot of fun. So find us on social media as well here. Jordan Drew _Sports Crew on Instagram. JD Sports Pod on Twitter. And then Jordan Drew the Sports Crew on Facebook. So that'll wrap it up here. Drew Skyberg signing off. So thank you all for listening to the first episode of Drew's Baseball Crew, the perfect podcast for you.